Is fixing your communication really the key to less fighting and a happier relationship? I totally get it if these thoughts come up for you. I used to think my partner and I just need to work on our communication skills and things will get so much better. And you might be thinking, if we could just learn to express our feelings better or really listen to each other, things could really change. For me, I really thought we just sucked at communicating and we needed to work on it. I thought that we fought so much because we didn't know how to communicate. And truly, if communication was really the problem, then why do some couples struggle even when they're great communicators? Maybe they're lawyers or teachers or even therapists. Communication and expressing their thoughts, ideas, and feelings well is literally what they do. But they still end up in conflict with their partners because the real issue is so much deeper than communication. So we can either stay totally stuck focusing only on communication skills, like using I feel language or active listening. Or we can go deeper and focus on the thing that actually decreases fighting and leads to a happier relationship. And that is what this episode is all about. I'm Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention, and we are diving right in. So before we get into it, I do want to highlight that I am not saying that communication skills aren't important. They absolutely are. But they're just one piece of a really big puzzle, and they're not the most important piece. If you think back to when you first started dating or got into a relationship with your partner, back to that honeymoon phase or that romance stage, you two communicated really well. Maybe you talked on the phone for hours, or you went out for dinner and had this ease-filled conversation. Maybe you told them things that you'd never told anyone. You truly just felt like this is so easy. It's so easy to talk to them. We can talk things through. So it doesn't make sense that you would just forget how to communicate as time went on in your relationship, because it's not about communication. Fighting is actually a symptom of lack of emotional intimacy. And I'm going to say that again because it is so important. Fighting in your relationship is a symptom of lack of emotional intimacy. So, what is emotional intimacy? It is the depth of closeness and connection between you and your partner. When you have emotional intimacy, you feel truly seen and safe and understood in your relationship. And when you feel seen, safe, and understood, you're more resilient. You can see each other for your best intentions. You fight way less, and you move through conflict in a much healthier way. Of course, if you don't feel safe, seen, and understood, you'll get triggered more easily. You'll fight more often because you don't have that safety, that emotional intimacy. Think of emotional intimacy like the strength of the Wi-Fi connection in your relationship. When that Wi-Fi connection is weak or it drops out, communication gets choppy. Messages don't come through clearly. Misunderstandings happen more often. You are constantly buffering and trying to reconnect with each other. So no matter how much you try to communicate in the right way with the right skills, it just doesn't land in the way that it should. But when you have a good, strong Wi-Fi connection, emotional intimacy, things flow smoothly. You can easily communicate. You can download important information like your feelings and your thoughts. You can stay in sync with each other without all of these interruptions. You feel safe, understood, and supported because your connection, your Wi-Fi connection, your emotional intimacy connection is strong and stable. And there are so many things that create emotional intimacy. So I want to touch on some of those things. Trust. You feel secure and safe to be vulnerable in your relationship without fear of judgment or reaction or rejection, because you have a safe space with your partner. So you both feel like, I can share what's coming up for me and I know you got me. And this leads into being authentic, the freedom to truly share who you are. You feel like, I can really be myself, and you just feel great seeing your partner as who they are too. And you are both expressing empathy. You are actively understanding and dropping into each other's hearts to really feel what is going on for the other person in their emotions, in their perspectives, which leads into validation, acknowledging each other's feelings and experiences. And validation can happen even if you don't agree with your partner. The episode that I did before this, 3 magic words to use in your relationship, is all about validation. So I definitely recommend checking that one out. And with emotional intimacy, we also have consistent support in our relationship. You are both emotionally available and supportive during the good times and the challenging times, and you both know that. deep understanding. You know each other's values, your hopes, your dreams, and your fears and your triggers on a really meaningful level. So it is beyond the surface stuff when it comes to fights and arguments. Emotional intimacy means that you know why you and your partner get triggered, you know where those triggers come from, and you understand what's underneath and are leaning into actually healing that together. You're emotionally available, a willingness to go deep together, be present, and share openly. And you have quality, intentional time together. So, building this emotional intimacy, all of these things that I just shared, helps you create this strong, resilient foundation. And we can imagine when all of those things are in place, it totally reduces and totally changes conflict. So, I say reduces because conflict is normal. Conflict is inevitable if you are sharing your perspective. So the goal isn't to eliminate it entirely, it's to shift it into a much healthier and less hurtful experience. There are so many people that say we fight too much, so we just don't feel connected anymore because we're always fighting. But as you can see, it's actually the other way around. We don't feel connected, so we fight so much. The fighting is the symptom. So, how do we increase this emotional intimacy? How do we get all of those things that I just talked about, that safety, that trust, that empathy, that support, and more? First, we need to know that a huge barrier to emotional intimacy is blame. It makes so much sense if you want your partner to change their unhealthy patterns and the hurtful things that they do because you want deeper connection. You want more kindness and ease and love in your relationship and less of those hurtful behaviors. And you deserve all of that goodness and more. And when you stay in a place of blaming them for the state of your relationship or for the lack of emotional intimacy in your relationship, when you stay focusing your energy on trying to change them or complaining about their behavior, it is truly a losing battle. You have no power there. It feels helpless. It feels hopeless. And it actually pushes you further away from the thing that you want, which is this emotional intimacy and all that it encompasses. So instead, getting unstuck requires moving from blame into personal responsibility for your side of the street. So personal responsibility does not mean you're responsible for all of the challenges and hard things in your relationship. It is really looking at yourself and what you contribute. And I know that I talk about this often. You've probably heard it before. And that's because it's so important. We get to recommit again and again and again to this personal responsibility piece in order to grow in our relationships. This is where we have the power. This is where we can empower ourselves. So how do we do this? We ask ourselves these questions often. What does this relationship need for me to thrive? How have I been contributing to what hasn't been working? How can I change and grow? So I've talked about these questions before, and we're going to look at them with the emotional intimacy lens, because this is where you create change. Truly, you lean into all the things yourself to create and increase that emotional intimacy in your relationship. You get to go first. So when we're looking at how to do that through this lens, listening and validating, making your partner feel heard and understood. So when they're sharing their feelings with you, when they're sharing their experiences with you, really leaning in and listening to hear and understand. So often we are listening to respond or react or share our opinions. So many things, which is so valid and so human and happens all of the time. And when we can drop in and truly listen to understand and really get it, our partner feels so seen, so heard. Just imagine you sharing something and your partner just dropping in and being like, whoa, I really get it. That sounds really hard. It feels so good. It increases that emotional intimacy. So you get to go first and do that for your partner because you're the one listening or watching right now. And appreciation. I talk about it all the time because it's so important. Recognize even the little things, quote unquote, that your partner does. Nothing is too small to appreciate. And so many things get missed in our relationships because we're just not looking for them. So starting to recognize those and name them to your partner, that increases that emotional intimacy. Being vulnerable, so sharing your true feelings and your experiences, creating that safe space so that when your partner shares something that bothers them, this goes into the listening and validating. Often when I'm working with couples, I will hear couples realize that, oh my gosh, I think that I'm such a good listener and that I'm a safe space for you. But actually, when you share things with me, I get defensive Or when you share things with me, I go into fix it mode. So I just try to fix it and give you solutions, and it makes sense that you stop sharing. So all they really want is for their partner to share with them, but their reactions don't feel safe for their partner, or their responses don't feel safe for their partner. So their partner ends up withdrawing. So we can just start to notice these things. And this is where we get to create shifts, which is the coolest. So repairing, apologizing sincerely, remembering that the masters of relationships know how to apologize, and they do it often, and they take responsibility, and they know that apologizing for my side of the street for the things that I've done that are hurtful does not mean that what you did is okay. It just means that I'm keeping my side of the street clean, and I am leaning into the areas where I can actually create change in our relationship. And curiosity. I know if you have listened to anything I've talked about, you heard me talk about curiosity before, because we really want to get curious about what's under the surface of the behaviors that our partner has, the unhealthy patterns that our partner has, because under every unhealthy pattern in our relationship, everything like criticism and shutting down and defensiveness, even contempt, there are beautiful, valid, unmet needs. And I have other episodes about this that I will link in the show notes so that you can really learn about wonder and look under, so that that can help you get curious. So I know, because I've been there, that it can be super hard to do this when your partner's not on board, or when they aren't reciprocating any of these things. And it truly is the path to change. I've heard it time and time again from individuals who dive into my love journey process without their partners. They go all in, focusing their energy in all the right places, because they actually know how to do that with the love journey process, and their partner starts to change before their very eyes. And this was what I experienced when I joined group coaching years ago, was just me showing up differently. My partner started to do the things that I had always wanted him to do. So it can be so hard, just take appreciation. You start appreciating. So you're like, day one, go time, let's go, I'm appreciating. And you tell your partner a few things that you appreciate in that day. They say thank you, or maybe they don't really acknowledge it. Next day, you're like, okay, I'm trusting, I'm doing this. You give them more appreciations. They say thank you. They don't really give you any. Nothing's really changing. Next day, you're like, okay, I'm trusting. You give appreciations, and they don't say anything. It is so common at that point that we just say, I knew it. This doesn't work in my relationship. Nothing's going to change. And this is the perfect moment to double down on your appreciation, even though it's hard. You are creating new patterns. It might be, if you're not somebody who's used to appreciating, it might be so out of the blue for your partner to hear you appreciate all of a sudden. It might be a little jarring to the nervous system, like, okay, what's going on? Something's different. I know something's different. I don't know what it is. This feels weird. And it can take your partner time to adjust. It can take your partner time to trust that this is a good thing. This is going to continue. This feels good. And before you know it, they'll be appreciating you too. So it is about going all in. So I wanted to share that back in the summer, I launched a new self-paced program called Relationship Recharge, Your Self-Driven Journey. And this program uses my love journey process. I opened it to 10 amazing founding members who were so stoked to dive in and create real change in their relationships. We had a mix of couples and individuals who joined without their partners, and all of the reflections that I've received have been so incredible. So one amazing thing that I experienced personally in my relationship, and see with the clients that I work with and these clients in Relationship Recharge, is that change happens really quickly when you focus your energy in the right place and stay consistent. I asked the founding members of Relationship Recharge how quickly they saw changes in their relationship, and I just want to share their responses because I want you to know what is possible when you dive in and keep going. One individual said it was by module 2. So that is week 2, already creating change, already seeing change in her relationship, even though her partner didn't do the program. Another individual shared that I noticed changes in my thinking within the first week or so. She shared that she realized the things that she never thought would change in her relationship were actually just habits that they'd formed. And with her awareness came that ability to shift her responses, and it gave her her power back. And that is the best thing ever. And one couple who took the program together shared that they noticed changes, and I quote, right away. The woman shared, I thought I would thrive more on seeing my partner adapt, but taking control of my own actions is the most rewarding. This gets me so freaking excited because I'm so grateful that they shared their experiences because it highlights the power of going all in, even if it's just you. Change happens quickly. I know that increasing emotional intimacy in your relationship so that fighting decreases sounds like a pretty big job when I list off all of those things. And when you really dive in, it happens. Every part of the love journey process is about increasing emotional intimacy. The process that I created has 3 pillars that really work together. The commitment keys. So this is that piece that I was talking about, those questions you asked yourself, where you step into personal responsibility, and then the pillar of healing and changing patterns. This is where you dig in and find out what's underneath arguments or underneath disconnection in your relationship and actually heal and change things. Even without your partner on board, the process helps you open your heart and get curious about what they experience too, so that you can really make shifts, even if they're not there. And your third pillar is nervous system love. So this is where we look at your nervous system, your triggers, your reactions, and we start to bring in techniques to help you stay regulated, because when we're triggered or dysregulated, nothing good comes from that place. In fact, you could have the perfect communication skills. You have got it. You have got active listening down. You have got, expressing your feelings, coming from this soft place, this gentle place, sharing love and appreciation. You could have all those skills down, but all of that gets tossed right out the window when you get triggered and you get reactive. So we are not in a place to use any of our communication skills if our nervous systems are popping off. Imagine you have a car with the best GPS ever. It is ready to roll. You've got your destination primed in, but your engine is overheating. Even with the perfect plan, you're not going anywhere. Same is true with your overheating, quote unquote, nervous system. So this is why this pillar is an important piece of the love journey. And we really need these 3 pillars to increase emotional intimacy. So I am so excited that I've brought this love journey process to this self-paced program. And I'm popping off about it because it officially launches soon. This episode you're listening to is out October 28th, 2024. And it is the perfect time to hop on the waitlist for Relationship Recharge, which you can find in the show notes. Being on the waitlist means you'll get first access at a super discounted rate. This is the most affordable way to experience a love journey process, and I couldn't be more excited to offer it. This is the process that I use when I'm working one-on-one or one-on-two with private coaching clients. And one couple shared, this isn't all about fighting. They shared, we were stuck in a roommate relationship. We were comfortable, generally happy, but not connected. Now we are back to valuing our relationship as a couple. And one individual shared, whose partner didn't do the program, our communication was a huge pain point for us. This program helped me be more present and less scorekeepy. It helped me coach myself through not taking things so personally and instead seeing the need of my partner underneath his behavior. She shared that being able to see both of their experiences as true and valid has allowed them to be on the same team rather than battling against each other. All of these wins that they are sharing speak to their increased emotional intimacy. So the connection, the being able to see each other's perspectives, the talking yourself through not taking things so personally and being able to listen and get curious about what's underneath their partner's behavior. The roommate zone is lack of emotional intimacy. Communication being a pain point, lack of emotional intimacy. We can create emotional intimacy, and it is so freaking exciting. I have given you tangible steps to get started just from today's episode. And if you want results like these amazing couples and individuals, I 10 out of 10 recommend hopping on the waitlist for that early birdie discount for this love-packed program. The link will be in the show notes. If you have any questions at all, leave a comment on this video, or my email is in the show notes as well. And of course, you can always DM me on Instagram, loving.with.intention. Increasing emotional intimacy is where it's at. And I've so got you in doing that with Relationship Recharge, your self-driven journey. Your intentional action for the week is to really lean into one of the emotional intimacy builders that I shared in the episode today. So maybe it's appreciation. Maybe it's apologizing for your role. It's active listening or validating your partner's experience. Choose one, set your intention, and go for it. You got this. So remember, the waitlist for Relationship Recharge link is in the show notes. I'm sending so much love into your day. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's have an intentional week.